a lot of people in my office said, no, we're not going to do this. Nature will somehow come back and balance out and survive. It is the humans that are going to be
Oh
cut
yeah,
out and
right,
taken away.
absolutely. To me, mandates are there for the least common denominator. When Kochi runs out of water, the community living in Quayside is not going to run out of water, right?
Never.
Very excited today. One of my dear friend and a fellow co-conspirator in this space of building a better and future-ready India is here today. Sarah Jacob. Sarah, welcome here.
Hi, Sriram.
Thank you for coming. Today, this is very exciting for us because I've been wanting to talk to you for a while about how we've been doing this, and also it's important for others to know what led you to do what you are and where you are planning to go. We'll also focus specifically on Quayside, the
Yeah.
project which
Yeah.
we are doing together,
Yeah.
right? So. Now, why is this project and Sarah important in this conversation on climate is critical? Um, there are a lot of developers. India has give or take 70,000 odd developers. A lot of them are CREDI members, and they work actively in. If you think about it, real estate developers are the ones who are building India. They are the ones who are building the future for the country. And this is what got Smarter them also excited to work in the real estate space. So, in this context of how we build a better India, we've been working with developers across the country. Sarah is from South India. She lives in Bangalore, but works in Kochi in Kerala. And today we'll talk about some of her work. What led you to get into this idea of climate conscious buildings? What is How did you begin your journey in this, and what is in your definition a green building? Because between you and me we can have five different definitions of green building, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
Absolutely.
important to understand what makes sense to you, and so that others also can learn from it. So how did you begin this journey?
So I think I grew up in Bangalore, but every summer holiday that I went to to Kerala to stay with my grandparents, that was my time connecting with nature. So my grandparents were from a place called Rami, which is near the Sabrimala River. So it is nature at its best because you have just trees and a beautiful river, and that is where my summers were. So I think I grew up connecting more closer to nature, and it was all there subconsciously. I was a software engineer. I was working in central London. I moved in. I came back, and I literally got into the design field. And we were doing a lot of interior design. So design plays a very important role to me. It came in very organically, and then I actually did my real estate management in IIM Bangalore and
Oh, you did a program
also in
in
Harvard Business School. And then I started to realize that for the next 20 years, we're going to have some core values, right? What are our core values and what do we stand for the next 20
So
years?
you are trying to now define what is Trine 2.0.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, when the second gen comes into the business, you've been there for some time and then you realize that you need to just slightly realign. And then at that point, I realized that I wanted to be a differentiator. I wanted to make a change. And obviously, when you have a lot of seasoned senior mentors in the industry, and I saw one thing that was making me stand out was sustainability with a luxury living concept. So, blending both of it in the right way, in the right sense, and having the right perspectives mattered.
I think it's important to also understand that Trine Holdings,
Yeah.
one where you are the director of, what was their background when, I mean, I can relate to what you're saying, being a software engineer coming back, right? I
Yeah.
myself was in tech field coming back to do this. So how did Trine Holdings come into play, and in its journey, where did you come in?
I think when I got into this, and when my dad put me into one of the projects in Cochin, and that was a hospitality project. One, I was associated with Mahindra. They always did green development, sustainable development. The particular project that I started off with has a IGBC platinum rating. Um and while I was at it and working towards that, I realized the sensitivity of, like when we do development and when we do every bit of construction that is going to, destruct the environment. I think we should be conscious enough to, kind of make it, more protecting the environment. And as a developer, while you do construction, you want to make sure that there is some amount of uh, you know, what we give back to the nature.
Coming from Kerala,
Yeah,
again based in Kochi, a lot of sustainable design ideas probably were coming naturally for him.
correct,
But Mahindra is now coming and suddenly bringing a very structured approach, saying
correct, correct.
we need to measure energy, we
Yeah,
need to measure
yeah,
water.
yeah.
So how did that in the Trine office? How was that?
So it's very interesting because one, at the end of the day, a lot of senior developers, and over the years, right, people would think everything mattered to numbers, the ROIs, what is
What do I get out of it? What
what
is
do
my
I,
profit margin?
yeah, and why are we doing so
Highest
much?
FAR?
Exactly. So highest FAR mattered, the built up area, the volume, the
And
return over
quicker
investment,
sales.
what is the cost per square feet. All of these mattered, and this is typical real estate terms. But at some point, when we were given the specs and we were given the requirements saying that you have to change the original spec to actually take the STP. So we actually separated grey and black
In that
STP in
hospitality project.
exactly.
Because Mahindra brought that idea,
Yeah.
and to meet their mandate, you had to
So we did.
work on water efficiency at the level of sewage water management.
Yeah.
And they gave that mandate.
Yeah, and
So how
they
was
gave
it
the
taken
fact
by?
that it was grey and black, so it was not easy for us to
Yeah.
implement. So we actually had to change most of the plumbing lines because we reuse the STP water to flushing for the landscaping. So this was very new, and a lot of people in my office said, "No, we're not going to do this."
Did your
Uh,
engineering background help you a little on that,
I
or it
think,
was not
of course,
much?
I think engineering, the first year of engineering is common. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we
So
kind of learn all of it, and I think it came very naturally to me.
yeah.
Design came naturally, civil came naturally. So I think all of this was quite,
So
okay.
so in that whole journey, right?
Yeah.
When trying started understanding, was do you think that was seeding the idea of formalizing the idea of a green building for you guys?
Uh, at that point, still no.
Still no.
Still no. Because it was about finishing a project and I didn't care. I just wanted to finish.
Hmm.
But we actually went, for me at that point in time, was to throw that carrot with the fact that I am going to do that. Was the difference that I made in terms of Mahindra dealing with a lot of their, uh, you know, uh, contacts and their people who would associate with them. So this mattered because this here comes a developer who is actually saying that, okay, fine, you say this, I'm going to do that. So I actually blindly went ahead with that,
Yeah.
but it was a good thing because it made me start to think a lot. There was this one video that was shared to me, which said that nature will somehow come back and balance out and survive. It is the humans that are going to be
Oh
cut
yeah.
out and taken
Right,
away.
absolutely.
So that's when you realize that, you feel like, oh, we have to protect nature, we have to do that, not realizing that, humans are the ones who are going to
Yes.
be affected by this.
Yes.
Nature will come back after 200 years, they will evolve and
In
it'll come
fact,
back.
for everybody, you should definitely check out this video. It's in the voice of Julia Roberts, the famous actress. She speaks on behalf of nature, and she speaks about saying that Earth does not need us, but we need Earth.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating change, right? So when somebody tells you that we need to save Earth, that's all nonsense. From a climate action point of view, uh, and I've been quoted many times saying this. This is an ultimate selfish motive. This is to ensure the Homo sapien species can survive on this planet longer. So let's get into one of your specific projects. The one we've been working on, your first project, Quayside. Quayside 12 is this astonishingly beautiful looking project. If Indian Green Building Council certification, which is India's #1 leading green building certification agency, uh, this Quayside project is slated to get probably the topmost points in Kerala and one of the topmost ranked projects in the country. We're close to 88 points on that.
90.
90 points. It is phenomenally high, and it is platinum plus, I would say. Before we get into how Quayside design, vision and all, I'm going to reverse this a little. What was your customer's reaction when you first showed and talked about Quayside? And you've been selling well, right?
Yeah, we've been selling well. Initially, it never mattered to them. Initially, consultants came up to me and to you and said, why are we doing this, right? So it was tough for us to actually sit down with them. It was tough for us to sit down with, a lot of our senior management to go back on the numbers to say that this is where we are heading to. This is what we want to do. In terms of giving heat pump, I still remember
Yeah,
our
all the
discussions.
conversations.
Yeah, all of that. But what mattered there was, in spite of doing, you know, all of this, when I started meeting my customers, when we met the customers, we realized that none of them are aware of any of this, and it didn't matter to them because they all wanted to know what is my cost and what am I going to
Right.
get.
They're taking the standard approach, which is
They're taking the standard
cost and
approach.
the quickest
Yeah.
way,
So then
known
we had to
technology.
sit with them and say that post operation, tell us what is your reductions. Tell us what is your energy savings. Now you tell me, when I'm giving you a platinum rated green building, as a customer, you get reduced interest rate, you get stamp duty reductions, one time property tax reduction. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? And that became a factor for customers. So, okay, I'm getting this. This is a differentiator, and she's actually going in a conscious way to reduce the heat load on the building, the kind of the
Water-wise, how
design
we made
mix
it
in the
efficient. Yeah.
concrete by using GGPS. Of
Right.
course, I had a tough time because this was new. A lot of our contractors, even my staff, even my entire team, why are we doing this? Because it does not give them the flexibility. There are,
Challenges
there
in
are
doing that.
challenges.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
does not give them the flexibility to do a design
Right.
mix at site and to produce it at site. So we always had to do depend on a RMC supplier, and with that came challenges because people, that was taking away people's freedom or flexibility at work, right? But then also it is a mindset change to keep telling them, by doing this, the strength is increasing, there is heat reductions. So, a little struggle from us at this point will take the customers a long way.
It's great to know that it took time, but now they are selling well and they're buying. So, what was your, when we started talking, and you
Yeah.
and I spoke about what should Quayside be? We said, what is a key thing we stuck on, and I want everybody to know is this sustainability blending into the value ultimately should talk, what do I get as a buyer if I'm buying apartment, right? So in that sense, we created the idea of a net zero common area. How was net zero common area taken? Was it
By
easy
the
to understand?
customers. I think they took it really well because the developer went out of the way to give in that 100% of electricity or the energy that it needed to run the common area, means reduced maintenance cost,
Right.
post operation, post occupancy. When a customer comes in, the common area share is going to be lesser and the expenses are going to be lesser. So they were very happy.
Right.
In fact, a lot of people are like, "What about our apartment?" I said, "I haven't reached there.
We'll get to that
yeah,
also.
we get to that." She said, "So then that's when they started to start moving forward. They're like, okay, what about common area? What about our apartment?" So they said, "Okay, we're doing slow steps. We're giving you heat pumps. We're giving you high performance glasses so that your energy savings are substantially seen in your electricity bill, and
Yeah.
that is the developer's success when the customer comes in post occupancy to ensure that they're living in a very sustainable environment."
Project of this size, nobody does facade assessment.
Yeah.
But
We
we
did it.
discussed and we did a very very scientific analysis to see how should the facade be. Given the beauty around, we wanted to have a glass facade around, but we did the energy simulations. We worked on thermal heat gain reduction of the building, so the buyers, their apartments will have lesser, right?
Yeah.
So that cost you money too.
It did.
Cost you money extra.
It did,
to
and
do
I think my
different kind of
architect was
glass.
also flexible.
Right.
Tony Stapati. They were very flexible because they, I think, integrated with Smarter Dharma to kind of ensure that all of this was tucked in. We use Portham, we use high performance glasses, and also from the facade. The design is absolutely top notch.
Right.
It is not compromised. We've used reusable materials in the facade,
Right.
so that also brings in the cooling effect. And we did the daylight analysis, the sun path analysis, all of that to see the calculations in such a way.
And very scientifically with numbers we can tell
Absolutely.
how the apartment will get so much reduction in their thermal heat gain.
Yeah.
And hence their air conditioner use.
Yeah.
Without compromising on their design.
When we started looking at the facade design itself, there were some areas that were given that flexibility and using local materials. So I grew up in, I am from, my
Kerala.
roots are from Kerala. And the fact that 200 years old house that my mother lived in, the first floor does not have a concrete. It is a rosewood,
Right.
the columns and the slab, all of it is complete wood. It's completely sustainable, right?
Right.
And having seen that, I realized there's a lot of wood that was thrown away. And some of my friends who, suggested, why don't we reuse wood? Why don't we reuse, wood that is thrown away into the
Right.
facade?
Right. Absolutely.
There is treatment, there is whatever, there is a small expense. But it is also about how you choose that materials wisely and how you source them also,
Yeah.
and being smart enough to kind of
And then
play with the design.
create the story to for the
Yeah.
customer to understand,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you're right. Coming to the material, right? One of the thing, so energy was great. Material, common area, net zero carbon also meant that we have to work a lot on the material,
Yeah.
right? Embodied carbon,
Yeah.
as you were saying. And we took some crazy steps. Like you said, we used reused wood, the kind of pavers used for the ground. How was that? How was it a challenge? And the big thing in all this, in your material segment, was reduction of GGB, cement, right?
Cement.
Again, for the information, cement is one of the highest greenhouse gas emitting element of the entire construction industry, and in a building, from the material point of view, just between cement and steel and concrete, we are talking about 84% of the embodied carbon, which is a huge percentage
Yeah.
of the building. If we can just focus on that, we do. And in this project, we have done nearly 40%
40%.
reduction in cement, right?
Yeah.
So how
So
was
it
that?
was
What are the challenges?
40% OPC and 60% OPC and 40% GGBS. Shobha and our site was the only two sites that were using this technology in Cochin. I know a lot of my developer friends in Bangalore do that now. But we were seeing the strength. Like initially, when my team came in, they were like, no, this is unheard. We've not done it. I said, okay, let's take some cube testing. Let's check what the strength is. And they realized that M40 came into an M55, M56, which was
Unheard of.
astonishing
Yeah,
for them.
yeah.
And they were extremely happy. And the fact that there is reduced, heat absorption.
Right.
So that made a difference. And
it also saved money, didn't it?
it saved money. For sure, it saved money. And at the same time, we were using Porthum also, that complemented towards all of this. But apart from all of this, I would say 60% of our land area, we have taken 60% of the land area into landscaped area. And for people who are going to stay there are fruit bearing trees. There are so many, and we're also going one step further to give people a little bit of, vertical garden also in each of these floors, so that we add on to these, features to enhance that living experience. Now, from the design perspective, when Tony designed it, he actually made sure that, even if this was a sky villa or a sky, you're up above in the floor, you still have a feature of plants. So basically, we had planter box all around,
Right.
the bedrooms, the living room, the dining room, and including the kitchen. So which means in the kitchen also you have a kitchen garden space.
They are connected to nature in
They're connected to
whatever way
nature,
they can.
even if they are elevated, they're still
Right.
connected to nature. So that design played a lot of importance there, to the fact that we had, like garden spaces. You can put tropical plants. You go to, you can actually do those Bali styling.
Right.
All of these comes in, so that enhances your experience
Right.
and your well-being of staying in the apartment, and having the design.
And also, some of the statistics around India and water is fascinating, right? We are close to 60% of the country is actually going to be water parched. We have no water in the country, but yet there is a misnomer that cities like Bangalore or Kochi or Kerala, there is water. So a couple of things. One, your thoughts on that, and what did we do in Quayside? It'd be good to share that.
Okay, so in terms of the fact, I just want to ask you, do you by any chance think that because we live by the backwaters and the ocean, that we have a lot of water in Kerala? I think that's a myth.
That's a myth, right?
That's a myth.
People think, in fact, the whole world thinks that.
No, people are taking water from tankers in Kerala, and it has reached there.
You're right. The myth is somebody like Kerala or Kochi.
There's a lot of water.
There's a lot of water.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's when we start to educate our customers, saying that let's be conscious, and I'm making sure that this building is going to sustain for what is going to come,
Right.
and what you foresee in the future, right? So what we did, I think, rainwater harvesting, there is water efficiencies that we've taken care. in terms of the fixtures that we use, in terms of like the latest designs. There's so many new features that have come in to ensure that there is efficiency in water, and we are in that luxury segment where we still ensure that we get that kind of comfort.
Our approach to water was, first, can we bring in efficiency in consumption?
Yeah.
And it's a myth again. So some of the numbers around here, National Building Code says 135 liters per person per day,
Yeah.
with buffer 150.
Yeah.
And given premium, you can push it a little more. But the idea was, you don't need a super fancy rainwater rain shower.
It all depends on the flow rate.
Thank you, perfect.
Yeah.
So with the bringing in efficiency with flow rate without compromising the quality of water consumption
and the experience that
and
it brings,
right.
and it is expensive, but it is worth that investment for the customer, and to ensure that
so you got good high quality international brand which
Yeah.
is giving us high quality water consumption. So
Yeah.
first was on the consumption. You brought in efficient fixtures to not meet but also beat the consumption patterns
Yeah.
for high quality living. Right? That's
absolutely, absolutely. And then I think we went ahead with reusing of the STP water.
Right.
It also goes into the flush. It also goes into landscaping.
And again,
because it's 60%,
Right.
we're not taking fresh water. That I think as developers, we have to start thinking forward. Like, if we could take the STP water that has been treated well for construction,
Correct.
so that makes a lot of difference, because when we start to reuse that kind of water, because we're using fresh water for curing,
Correct.
right? And if this is drinkable, like some of the good companies like Eco STP, the STP water that comes out is equally good for drinking.
Right.
But it is again a fear of people, and for people like, no, we definitely don't want to do that. Water used in construction is fresh water, and that's very unfair to
Right.
a lot of people.
In fact, it's a great point you brought up. Two things there. One is, so Bangalore is one of the first cities, probably the only major city in the country where groundwater cannot be used for construction.
Yeah.
So that's a law, even though Kerala does not have used in Quayside, right? We are not using too much of groundwater. We are figuring out a blend of other waters
Correct.
to reduce the utilizing groundwater.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Second, just to also add, Eco STP, as you mentioned, it is a great natural water treatment solution. But to make it portable, you should also have an RO ahead of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And you actually considered spending that money.
We went ahead with RO and with UV filtration.
Right.
So all of this, so UV filtration, then it's as good as fresh water itself.
So you spend that extra money
Yeah.
to ensure when Kochi runs out of water, the community living in Quayside is not going to run out of water, right?
Never.
And their dependency on public fresh water is extremely low.
Yeah.
We were aiming for zero, but we couldn't hit zero. But we've done phenomenally.
I think we've
close to 80%.
We've gone towards.
77%.
I think it was a journey towards, and I think that's where to begin with, I think we were good.
I've been and Smart Dharma has been a proponent working with such progressive developers. One thing which stuck to me always was certification and mandates. Let's just take these two, right? I love the fact that in Quayside, our design-led certification, it's not like certification-led design, right?
No.
And this is a very critical thing.
Yeah.
Right? Similarly, mandates, to me, mandates are there for the least common denominator. Meeting mandates is not going to help us make future ready. So your thoughts on those two?
So 20 years down the line or 30 years down the line, when my customers come up to me and say, Sarah, this building is ready for the situations at this point in time, makes me more happy. And the fact that I think the first one, when we, it was very organically designed, ready for a certification. It never came through a certification perspective. But I see that, in my next, all developments going forward in Trine is going to be sustainable, whether it's commercial development, whether it is senior living, or whether it is the residential that we're launching now. This one is a little interesting because, you've already set the
Correct.
pitch, you've already set what you want to do in the Quayside
well. This is now
so the new project, I don't want to announce the name of that project, but the new project is next level, and we're talking about going beyond one step higher than what we did here, because that's where you want to, right? You always want to push yourself further, like how innovatively are we going to do this, how are we going to tackle it? And that's why we always associate with Smarter Dharma, because it's progressive, and it's the fact that we're thinking for in the futuristic way.
Thank you. In fact, now that she doesn't want to mention the name, I don't want to mention the name. But it's another stunning project. It looks great. Again, it's in Kochi. She's continuing to push the envelope, which I think everybody should consider. So to paraphrase, every developer should consider certification as a good outcome.
Yeah.
Go for IGBC, lead, Griha, whichever makes sense to you. It's great. IGBC is leading, your customers understand it, so go for it. But let your design lead certification.
Absolutely.
And mandates, going beyond mandates is not just a need today, but soon it will become a must.
Yeah.
Would that be a fair way of
Absolutely,
talking about it?
absolutely.
Okay, now
Coming
we're going
to
to
the fun
move to a
part.
small fun piece, a quick fun piece.
Okay.
Sir, I'm going to ask you 5 questions. I want a quick answer for each.
I hope I can do this.
One
now.
line
Yeah.
or one word.
Okay.
That's the thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. So, what's the first idea which comes to you when you talk about Kerala,
Nature and beautiful.
right? What is the first word which comes to you about sustainability and I am
I
Bangalore?
think the master classes that we have worked together and collaborated to bring something very different.
All right. What is the first word which comes to you about uh, net zero?
Makes me a differentiator.
What is the first thing which comes to you about melting glaciers?
Breaks my heart, and I honestly, I think that was my turning point to move towards conscious living.
One book or podcast you would recommend your listeners to read?
I think it's Ecotopia by Dr. Callan Back. I think in the 70s, he would have thought of something at that point which is very relevant today. So that's inspired me to the fact that, 20 years later, my customers should come back and say, hey, Sarah, this was a well thought design and well executed, development.
What would be the one thing you'll tell developers to start thinking about?
Okay. So I think from my experience, the myth of sustainability being a cost factor, and a lot of people, the fear of the unknown, right? That is actually stopping a lot of people, not realizing that I think we have to be future proof, we have to be future ready. And India in the next, 10 years, we're going to, or next few years, we're going to touch 7 trillion. So the kind of development that is going to happen is massive.
So the
massive.
real estate industry is
Yeah.
number is $7 trillion.
Yeah, so it is massive, and therefore we definitely want people to start at the earliest. And there is a movement in CREDA itself. A lot of us have moved towards this kind of movement. So until and unless you have future-proof buildings and future-proof, steps that are going to protect the tenants who are going to live there, and for the people, the world's going to head to a better place.
Right. So, in the big picture, as she said, it's a 7 trillion from a, she gave a very good developer number. And I'll tell you that real estate industry is close to 40% of the greenhouse gases emitted in the world today is from buildings. And so focusing on buildings at design stage is the only way India is going to meet its 2040, 2070 goals. And developers like Trine Holdings and leaders like Sarah are great examples where you can do that without ever compromising on your business value.
Yeah.
I will. I'm sure you can look up and you can talk to her. She'll tell you about how it has added business value rather than, been any detrimental to it.